Now, until recently, in the United Kingdom, the construction industry, for example, was in massive, massive growth. If you got out of bed in the morning, you got rich. If you went to a customer and said, boo, you got mega rich. You didn't have to use your brains. And I, not so long ago, did 60 managing directors from a construction industry, and they were all sitting with their arms folded, lolling back in their seats, because the company had just achieved a 65% increase in their net profit. So you could imagine they were sitting there again thinking, who is this guy and what's he going to tell us? Professor of what? Professor of marketing? Anyway, I thought I can't go on for 2 days like this. So I picked on the first person whose name I could read, and I said, John, I said, what was your net profit increase last year, John? And he pulled himself up to his 6'12" height, and he said 185%. And I said, 185% increase in net profits, wow. And I said, are any of the other managing directors in the room, the 59 of you, with a better net profit increase than that? And there wasn't. So I said, let's give John a round of applause. So you can imagine how enthusiastically they did that. They gave John a round of applause. And I said, okay, John, I said, your peers have congratulated you. Would you like to explain to them the source of your success? And he thought deeply and intellectually about it for half a second, and he said, we had a mild winter. And I said, right, my next book, John, is going to be called Barometer Marketing. And he didn't like that. You know, he said, what do you mean? I said, well, you look at the barometer in the morning, you say we're going to get rich, or, you know, whatever the barometer says, we're not. He said, well, what did you mean? And I said, well, did your market grow last year, John? If your market grew, by how much did your market grow? And how much of your net profit growth came from market growth? And he couldn't answer it. I mean, any fool would know the answer to that question if you're a big player. So I said, okay, John, let me ask you an easier question. I said, did you increase your market share last year, John? If you did, by how much did you increase your market share? And how much of your net profit growth came from increased market share? And of course, if he couldn't answer the first question, he couldn't answer the second one, could he? It's a bit of a silence. And I said, okay, John, let me ask you an easier question. Did you have any price increases last year, net of inflation? How much of your net profit growth came from net price increases? Again, Mickey Mouse or Donald Duck would know the answer to that question. No. I said, okay, John, let me ask you an easier question. Did you have any productivity improvements last year? How much of your net profit growth came from productivity improvements? Now, by now, I noticed the other 59 managing directors were all sitting bolt upright, thinking, I hope this odious little toad doesn't ask me any questions like that, because it was blindingly obvious that they hadn't the foggiest idea what they were doing to make money other than being in a growth market. Now, in the United Kingdom, as we all know, suddenly it has all come to a crashing halt, hasn't it? And guess what? Those people are suddenly going to start paying attention to markets and customers and segments and the kind of thing I'm going to talk to you about this morning in this particular session.